There comes a moment every woman dreads, when she realizes the man she pushed away was the one who truly cared. At first, she feels strong, independent, free. She believes she made the right choice. But time has a way of stripping away illusions. What once felt like freedom starts to feel like silence. And the silence begins to hurt. Today, we're breaking down the psychology behind that moment, when a woman finally regrets losing the man she took for granted, and why it always happens long after he stopped waiting. The disbelief phase. Right after walking away, she convinces herself she's fine. She tells everyone she's happy, that it was the right decision. She fills her days with noise, new plans, new people, new energy. Every hour is carefully packed with something to do, someone to see, somewhere to go. Because the truth is, she's not trying to move on. She's trying to distract herself from what she lost. She repeats every cliché she can think of. He wasn't enough. I deserve better. It's his loss. She even starts to believe it for a while. That small burst of freedom feels like power. She feels admired, validated, even desired again. The kind of ego boost that tricks her into thinking she's healed. But deep down, her body already knows what her mind refuses to admit. The nervous system remembers what the heart tries to forget. The calm she once felt around him, the steadiness, the sense of safety. It's missing now. And no amount of laughter or attention fills that space. Psychologists call this emotional dissonance, the silent war between what she feels and what she tells herself. Her emotions whisper one truth: you miss him. Her pride screams another: you don't need him. And the louder she insists she's fine, the more her body betrays her. She checks her phone when it vibrates, hoping it's him. She still types his name without thinking. She still remembers his voice when everything goes quiet. At first, she can drown it out, with validation, attention, noise, movement. But late at night, when it's just her and her thoughts, when there's no audience left to convince, that's when the silence starts to echo. That's when the truth begins to surface. And somewhere deep inside, a quiet ache starts to grow. The kind that doesn't fade because it isn't loneliness. It's realization. The comparison phase. Then it begins. Quietly, almost invisibly. Every new man she meets becomes a mirror. And in that reflection, she starts to see what she lost. At first, it's subtle. A conversation that feels forced. A compliment that sounds rehearsed. A date that looks perfect on paper but leaves her strangely empty inside. She laughs, but it doesn't reach her eyes. She nods, but her heart stays still. The new guy talks, but doesn't listen. He looks at her, but doesn't see her. He touches her, but it doesn't feel the same, because it lacks the quiet certainty you carried in every move. You didn't need to impress her. You never chased, never begged. You led with presence, not performance. That calm, masculine steadiness. It's what made her feel feminine, safe, alive. And that's what she begins to notice now. The others try to fill the silence with words. You filled it with energy. The others want her attention. You gave her peace. And peace, she realizes, is addictive once it's gone. Because what she lost wasn't just affection. It was stability. The kind of grounding that only a confident, self-contained man brings. The kind of man who doesn't need validation, because his worth is internal, not borrowed. You didn't compete for her love. You offered it freely. You didn't demand respect. You embodied it. And that's when the shift happens inside her. A small, almost imperceptible moment of recognition. You weren't like the rest. You never were. And now that absence, that quiet, unshakable energy, follows her everywhere. Every time she meets someone new, she's not comparing faces. She's comparing presence. The mirror moment. There's always a breaking point. It never comes when she expects it. It sneaks in quietly in a moment of stillness. Maybe it's a random song playing in a cafe, a photo that suddenly appears in her memories, or an old message where you said something simple like "drive safe" or "text me when you get home." She reads it again and something shifts. It's not the words themselves, it's the feeling behind them. That small, steady care. The tone that asked for nothing in return. In that instant, she feels something she hasn't felt in a long time: safety. The kind of peace that can't be bought, replaced, or performed. And as she sits there, that warmth turns into ache. Because now she understands, you didn't leave her. You waited. You forgave. You tried. Until you couldn't anymore. She pushed. She tested. She wanted to see how far you'd bend before you'd finally break. And now that you're gone, she realizes what those tests really were. A slow destruction of something pure. Now she's standing in front of the mirror, and the reflection looking back isn't who she pretends to be. It's not the confident, independent version she shows the world. It's the one she hides, the careless woman who broke something real, the one who mistook love for weakness and strength for control. And that realization, that quiet, brutal truth, is the moment she finally understands what she lost. The void regret doesn't arrive as tears. It comes quietly, disguised as emptiness. At first, she doesn't even recognize it. She just feels a strange heaviness in her chest, a silence between words that didn't used to be there. The laughter at dinners feels forced. The smiles in pictures feel hollow. Every new conversation sounds like a recycled script. The same questions, the same jokes, the same temporary warmth that fades the moment she's alone again. She starts to realize that it's not loneliness she fears. It's the absence of meaning. Because when she was with you, even silence had depth. Now, even excitement feels shallow. Late at night, she finds herself scrolling through old photos, not to relive the moments, but to remember the feeling she had in them. That sense of calm she didn't understand before. The safety of being seen without having to perform. The quiet strength of a man who gave her peace without asking for control. She replays memories she once took for granted. The way you listened when she spoke about her fears, the way you steadied her energy when she spiraled, the way your presence alone was enough to make her breathe slower. Back then, she mistook peace for boredom. Now she understands it was love in its purest form. Every strong man she meets now reminds her of you. The way you stood firm, the way you didn't chase, the way you didn't need to prove yourself. Every weak one only deepens the contrast, making her miss you not because of nostalgia, but because she finally realizes how rare your steadiness was. And slowly, the truth settles in like a quiet confession. You weren't just another man. You were the peace she traded for noise, the calm she replaced with chaos, the stability she once called dull, now remembered as everything she actually needed. The cracked mask, expanded on the surface, she still looks fine. She smiles, she posts, she parties. Her life, at least online, looks brighter than ever. But what people don't see is the quiet exhaustion behind that smile. Because pretending you've moved on takes energy. And eventually, the mask starts to crack. No amount of attention replaces genuine presence. No good morning text from a stranger replaces the quiet warmth of being truly understood. She scrolls through dozens of messages, but none of them feel real. None of them sound like you. And even when she laughs, part of her is somewhere else, still searching for the emotional gravity she once had but didn't recognize at the time. People around her think she's healed. They say, she's doing great. She's glowing again. But she knows the truth. Every man she meets feels temporary, like a placeholder trying to fill a role he doesn't understand. Because none of them can read her moods like you could. None of them know when she needs silence instead of advice. None of them can see through her defenses the way you once did. And though she'll never admit it out loud, deep down she knows. She didn't want a better man. She wanted you to stay. But she confused strength with indifference, tests with affection, and ego with power. She pushed harder and harder, thinking you'd never leave, until she finally broke the very thing she thought would always return. Now, when she lies awake replaying everything, she realizes the cruel irony. You weren't testing her love. You were quietly measuring her respect. And once that respect was gone, so were you. The guilt. Then comes guilt. The kind that doesn't scream. It whispers. It creeps in late at night when everything is quiet, when she finally runs out of ways to distract herself. Her mind starts playing back the moments she brushed you off, the times she rolled her eyes when you tried to help, the nights you reached out and she stayed cold, thinking you'd always be there tomorrow. Now she sees every word, every sigh, every silence differently. She realizes that the man she thought would never leave was slowly fading right in front of her, and she didn't even notice. She replays the moments where you waited, where you listened even when she didn't deserve your patience. And for the first time, she understands something she never saw before. That your calm wasn't weakness, it was discipline. Your kindness wasn't softness, it was restraint. Your silence wasn't indifference, it was protection from saying what would have broken her. But even the strongest man eventually gets tired of being unseen. Even the most patient heart has a breaking point. That's when guilt starts to weigh on her like a shadow. Because she knows now, she didn't lose you by bad luck, and she didn't lose you to another woman. She lost you by choice, by mistaking your love for permanence, and your loyalty for something she could test forever. And when she finally understands that, the guilt becomes unbearable. The regret spiral. It always begins quietly, almost innocently. She starts checking your page. At first, it's just curiosity. Then it becomes habit. She watches your stories from a fake account, scrolling back further than she meant to. She asks mutual friends subtle questions, not because she cares about your life, but because she can't stand not knowing. Every photo, every post becomes a message she reads too deeply into. She studies your smile, your eyes, the places you go. She notices that calmness in you, that quiet peace she once disturbed, and she can feel it in her chest. You've changed. You're not the same man she left behind. There's no bitterness in your face anymore, no tension in your tone, just ease. The kind that can't be faked. And that's when the regret finally pierces through the pride, because she realizes the truth she never wanted to face. You didn't wait for her to come back. You moved on. She sees the life you've built without her, the calm mornings, the gym sessions, the laughter with people who don't drain you. And deep down, she knows that peace she sees in you used to be hers. She could have had it if she hadn't confused consistency for boredom and loyalty for weakness. Now you're living the version of yourself she always said you'd never become. Strong, balanced, untouchable. And that realization cuts deeper than any breakup ever could, because nothing haunts a woman more than watching the man she once tried to control turn into everything she secretly wanted, but will never have again. The realization: women don't truly regret losing the man they dated. They regret losing the man who understood them, even when they didn't understand themselves. The man who listened when she was cold, who stayed calm when she was cruel, and who kept choosing her long after she stopped choosing him. They regret losing the man who saw beyond the moods, the walls, the pride, and still tried to love what was broken. He wasn't perfect, but he was steady. He didn't promise the world. He showed up for it. And that quiet, dependable love, it's the kind that only feels ordinary until it's gone. He was the one who carried her through the chaos, who protected her not with words, but with presence, who made her feel safe without needing to prove anything. And when she made him feel invisible, when she tested, pushed, and ignored him long enough, something inside him finally went silent. Because even the strongest heart has limits. When a good man realizes his love is being wasted, he doesn't explode. He fades. No drama, no final fight. Just distance, peace, and a quiet decision to stop fighting for what doesn't fight for him. And when that kind of man finally walks away, he never looks back. Not because he stopped caring, but because he learned that love without respect is slow poison. Once he rebuilds his peace, once he remembers who he was before she drained his light, he doesn't return to the person who shattered it. He simply wishes her well and keeps walking, because peace, once earned, is worth more than any apology ever spoken. If this hit home, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because forgiveness without change isn't love, it's self-betrayal. And the man who chooses peace over chaos always wins in the end.